if you recall correctly, back in lesson 7, I believe it was, when we first started talking about Express and the Express.js framework for running web applications, we showed you how to run cookies and sessions using Express. And for sessions, we showed you how to use the sort of built-in memory store object that it comes with. There's a slight problem with this, however, and I'll use a little picture here to show you what it is. This problem arises when we start to run multiple web servers or multiple node processes to run the same web application. Let's say here I have two separate node processes, each of which is running a memory store to handle the same web application. So I have my round-robin server that's just sort of sending the requests to different ones. The client makes a request, and the round-robin proxy routes it to server 1. So server 1 creates the session and puts the session data here in its own little memory store object, returns that data back to the client. Client then makes another call to the server for something else and passes that client session cookie data and whatever other cookie data back to the server, and now our proxy server routes that request to server number 2. Now server number 2 takes a look at that session cookie, looks in its memory store, sees that it's not there, and goes, huh, that's weird. But probably sets up some new session data and then passes that data back. So any data I've already had here in my first node process is lost in my second one, which is really not what we want. So what we need to do is we need to come up with some way to sort of abstract out these memory stores. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to do that using something called memcached, which is just a key value object store that we can use we can access via the network, either on the same host or on a different host, and it gives us a common place to put all of our stuff. Now I can have any number of node processes, and if we'll retrain or we'll have them use a different kind of memory store that instead of just keeping a little chunk of local memory available, always knows to go to this memcached server and get the data there. Now, no matter who gets the request, they're all looking at the same memory store, and they'll all be able to get the correct data like that. So let's take a look at installing this memcached. I'll be nice to the Windows guys today, and we'll do it first on that machine. Basically, I just went and did a Google search for memcached binary Windows, and there's a bunch of different sites here that have installers. So I downloaded one of those installers. I put them in my downloads folder here, and then I expanded that, and you'll see there's a bunch of stuff here. Now, I first need to, this actually will run as a service, so I first need to install it as a service, and to do that, I need to run a administrator level command prompt, like that. So I'm going to go to cd users mark downloads memcached. So I'm going to go memcached-d install. Okay, and if it prints out nothing, that means it worked. If I don't want it anymore, I can do uninstall like that, and that also means it worked. If I try to install it and it's already installed, it'll squawk and print an error out. Now, if I go to let's do it through control panel. Whoopsie, let's do control. If I go to services, oopsie, didn't want to do that. Where'd you come from? There we go. View local services. You will see here under the letter M that memcached is now a service, and I can start it. I can either start it from here or from the command line. So let's, for a change this time, do net start memcached. Now, the only other thing I need to do is I kind of need to configure memcache to not use too much memory. I think the default might be 256 megabytes. I'm not honestly sure, but we really don't need that much. So I am going to launch regedit, and I'm going to go here to, let's go do this from the beginning. How do I collapse all of these? So anyway, I'll show you the path. I'm going to go to HKey local machine, system, current control set, services, and I'm going to scroll down to the letter M for memcached. And then here under image path, I'm going to double click on this and I'm going to add at the very end -m. I don't know, I only need 25 meg. Actually, for this tiny example, I only need 10. Maybe for sessions, I don't need a lot of memory, but I'll just run 25 megabytes of memory like that. So the next time I start it, it'll only run with 25 megabytes of memory like that. Okay, so that's all I need to do to get sort of memcache up and running on my Windows machine. On my Linux or Mac machines, I'll do this. And then I here in a little folder called user local work MC, you need to download this memcached, and then you also need to download this lib event that memcached depends on. Once you sort of untar those, compile, you need to build lib event and make and install that first. Then you can build the memcached, and then you'll see in user local bin there is a memcached. Let's steer like that. You'll see I definitely have that installed there. To run it on my Unix machines, I'll just do memcached or memcached-user, the amount of memory, and then the port number. And so let's do 12321 or something like that. Oh, I guess I should mention on Windows, the way we configure our port number is the same thing. I go back to the regedit, and then here I can also add -p12321 like that and have it listen on the correct port number. Okay, good. So now I have memcached running on this machine here with 10 megabytes of memory running on port. And you see how here it's running right now. It's kind of I could either it's not exiting. I could either do Control-Z and background it, or if I just want to have it, if I want to skip that step and just run it as a daemon in the very first place, I can just do a -d, and it automatically detaches itself from the control utility, and it's ready to go. Okay, so I've got the memcached set up. So now what I need to do is get the new, let's go back to our picture here. So now with memcached, this thing here is ready to go. What I need to do is configure my Node.js to use that memcached as its memory store. To do that, I'm going to use a new middleware component from npm called connect memcached. I've created a little folder here called memcache middleware, and I've put a package JSON in it. And basically, this is going to require Express and this new connect memcached. Let's go to our command window here and do npm update. And while we're waiting for that to work, I've also created copied over the session file we used way back from, I believe it was lesson 7. Now, this still uses the old built-in memory store, so all we need to do is we need to change it to use the new memory store that we want it to use. So I am going to replace this with memcached store, and I'm going to require connect memcached. Now the only trick to this is I need to pass this connect memcached, the express object, so it can find this instance of the memory store class and figure out how to subclass it. So once I've got that, now all I need to do is change this to memcached store. Let's see if I did that correctly. Oopsie. I did do that correctly. And now this will also take a comma-separated list of hosts. Now since I've only got one running, I'll just 1, 2, 3, 2, 1. I only need to do that, and the rest of the program should be identical to the way it was before. All I've done is I've changed the memcached to the memory store to use the new memcached one and set that in the session data. So now I should be able to say node session. Oopsie, let's go to the right directory. Node session, and I did that right. Now, remember, I can't do session data very well with curl in the command line because it doesn't do the cookies very well. So I'm going to do localhost 8080, and now the first time I run it, you'll see that my browser is actually remembering cookie values. And there we go. So that's all I need to do to set my Node projects up to use a sort of centralized memory store for session data, in this case memcached. Really quite simple and something we'll use on all of our projects where we do have sort of these, where we do want to use sessions.